Terrell had to punt, and unfortunately, 16-yard punt when we needed something a, a little deeper. But that's what happens, especially in these high school games. Um, okay, looks like we're
Like there was a penalty a moment ago.
looks like we have a dead ball penalty somewhere.
And it looks like the Lumberjack offense.
A dead ball penalty somewhere.
And it looks like the Lumberjack offense is heading back out onto the field.
That's interesting. I didn't see that either. Must have been a running into the kicker. Oh no, it's a roughing the kicker or it's some kind of personal foul penalty because Diboll has the first down.
Yep, so we'll take it. And so now the ball is spotted on the 45-yard line. Really lucky break there for the Jacks. And here comes the Carlos Sanchez and the Lumberjack offense once again. So on 1st and 10 from the Raider 45, Sanchez is going to hand it off to Xander Rambula, who breaks a tackle, and he's going to be brought down at about the Raider 42-yard line. So Xander, once again, he's going to bring up 2nd down and about 7 to go here for the Jacks.
Well, that's the third time in a row off of a first down that Diboll's been able to get 3 yards on first down. And the last two possessions, Diboll struggled on second down, trying to keep from having a negative play. So we need to have another positive play here. I like that young man Xander running the ball right now.
2nd down and 7. It's the Carlos Sanchez dropping back to pass. He's going to scramble. There's a flag thrown, and it's going to be a one-handed interception by Cam Brown. That looked incredible. And there goes Cam Brown making cuts, and he's going to be brought down by the last line of defense for the Lumberjacks on that one, as that was Dylan Ruiz coming up with the stop. But before we get any further, there's penalty flags on both sides of the field.
Now, West Rusk is heading off the field right now, so I'm going to guess this was some kind of penalty, procedure penalty or something on Diboll. Sanchez, he's looking to his right, decides to tuck and run to the left side, sees his wide receiver down the left sideline, actually threw a good ball, but just not quite enough air underneath it. That defender just jumped up and absolutely snags that ball out of the sky with one hand over here on the sideline. Sanchez really put the ball on the money. He just needed to float it further downfield. It was too much on a line. Um, Not even mad at the throw at the play because Sanchez, he saw an open receiver and he tried to get it there. Just a really outstanding effort by West Rusk right there defensively. Really nice play to wrestle the ball back from the Lumberjacks.
So there was penalty markers down. Here comes the referee to make the call, as the call went against Diboll. Didn't say what kind of penalty it was, and it looks like the Raiders also got one as well.
Looks like maybe a holding call against Diboll and then a block in the back or something along those lines against West Rusk after the interception, which is going to back them up 10 or 15 yards from where they were tackled at. So
Yep, so after the interception and the penalties, the ball is spotted on the Raider 44-yard line. Yeah, back to the interception. That was just an incredible one-handed interception by Cam Brown. Can't even be, like you said, can't even be upset about that.
no, that's not on Sanchez. That's just absolute great effort by an athlete right there.
On 1st and 10 for the Raiders, it's an empty backfield set. 3 receivers to the right, 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right, and coming in motion, getting it on the jet sweep is the receiver for the Raiders. That's Dalen Williams, who's getting cuts, and he's going to be brought down by Luisa Rambula inside of the Lumberjack 28-yard line. And we got a flag fest going on. There's a flag down at the 45-yard line.
Yeah, I didn't see. Looks okay. It's going to be a block in the back against West Rusk, and thank goodness for that. That was a simple jet sweep handoff, but somehow we completely lost contain there on the outside, and kid turned it upfield and was able to slip one tackle and then get upfield for about 25, 30 yards. But maybe that's why he got loose. Alec just blocking the back right here. It's going to back them up from. Looks like it occurred around the 45, and it's going to back them up to the hour 45. So it'll be replay first down and about 9 yards to go.
So after the penalty, it's 1st and 10. Raiders from their own 45-yard line as it's a shotgun look for Dotson as we're awaiting get the clock rolling with 7 minutes remaining in this first half. Raiders with the 8-0 lead over Diboll. It's a low snap, but Dotson's able to get it off to the running back Williams. As Williams is going to be bottled up by a host of Lumberjacks. Making the initial contact was Ty Jones, and he's just going to stand him up, and that's going to be a loss in the play of 1. That's going to bring up 2nd down for the Raiders.
So that's interesting. That's the same play that Madisonville ran against Diboll 4 times for 4 touchdowns in a row last week. Cut back there with two guard and tackle pulling. You can tell Morrison did a lot of coaching on that play this week because the defensive line is absolutely stoning these guys at the line of scrimmage and linebackers coming downhill and getting in on the tackle. So that is very encouraging to see.
Lumberjacks with the 4-man front defensively against this Raider offense who's in the shotgun. Dotson with another handoff to Hunter McCandless, and once again, he is bottled up by nothing but red jerseys. Aiden Chavis coming in to do mop-up duty. Can't see who was in on the stop from the bottom of the pile. Looks like it was Jamarcus Nieves, Luis Arambula, and a lot of other Lumberjacks. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 12 for the Raiders.
And once again, immediate penetration by those 2 defensive tackles for the Lumberjacks, just pushing people off the ball and getting to the running back in the backfield before he can get across the line of scrimmage. Now we have a timeout Diboll here, 3rd down and 12. Coach Morrison takes a quick timeout.
Looks like one of the defensive linemen didn't know if he was in or not on the play, so Morrison had to burn his 2nd timeout here of the half. And we'll take a quick commercial timeout. You're listening to Diboll Lumberjack Football on YouTube and Facebook through C4 Media.
Attention, East Texas. When it comes to welding, fabrication, hydroblasting, sandblasting, vacuum truck services, and plant maintenance, there's only one name you need to know: PPR Industrial Services. Located in Lufkin, Texas, PPR delivers top quality services with 24/7 support. The mission to exceed customer expectations, PPR focuses on safety and excellence in every job. Call them today at 936-676-0982 and let PPR handle your toughest projects. PPR Industrial Services, where quality matters.
Third down and 12 for the Raiders from your own 43-yard line. So the Lumberjacks can make a stop. It's a trips receiver set to the left side, one to the right. Dotson dropping back to pass. He's looking to the left side, and he's going to connect with his intended target, Cam Brown, at the 25-yard line. He just found him down the seam, and he's got him connected for a huge gain. But hold up, there's a flag on the play. And it's a holding call against the Raiders.
Well, Diboll looks out again right there. They were in a zone defense. Looked like maybe they were playing a cover 3 or a quarters type defense. There were 2 deep guys over there, but quarterback broke a tackle and they both kind of stopped their feet, and he was able to get the ball just over their head to a West Rusk receiver that had slipped behind them. But another holding call, another penalty helps Diboll out here, backs West Rusk up again, and gives us another opportunity on 3rd down.
He is going to be brought down at the shoestrings by Tyrese McMillan down to the 40-yard line. So he picks up about 8 on the play. It's still 4th and long for the Raiders, and it looks like they will bring out their punt unit.
West Rush has trips on this near side here, tries to flood the right side with receivers and slip the running back out to the left side on a screen play. Nice job by McMillan on that far side, fighting through a block and coming up and making a tackle. Even if he had missed it, there were a couple other Lumberjacks in the direct vicinity. So Diboll doing a great job getting to the football tonight and just really playing a lot more aggressively and a lot more physically than last week. So this is very encouraging, man. Coach Morrison, Alec, he did some, so far it appears they did a really good job coaching this Lumberjack football team up after last week.
Absolutely. Although the Lumberjacks are down 8-0, it's just a really tight game. You're just seeing improvement all the way around from the Lumberjacks. Like you said, Coach Morrison definitely went up and over the weekend and through the week, did a lot of film study as he could to get the Lumberjacks in this position. Only down by 8. There's still a whole half left to play and 4:50 left in this second quarter. So anything can still happen, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far from these Lumberjacks.
Yeah, and reality is we turn the ball over in our own end at the 35-yard line, and points off of turnovers is a huge thing in any football game, especially when you turn it over deep in your own end. So, Diboll actually didn't have a bad defensive position that time either. They were able to throw that little seam route right up the middle and get a touchdown out of it. But Diboll's defense looked very solid here. Hopefully they're going to hang on long enough for the offense to get its feet underneath it and get some traction.
The punt unit is out there for the Raiders and the return unit for Diboll as Tyrese McMillan will position himself at his own 23-yard line. Cam Brown, who made the interception a moment ago, is on to handle the punting duties. Takes a few steps, and McMillan will field it at about the 25-yard line. And he's going to slip a few tackles, break it free down the right side,
Yes,
break
sir.
another tackle, another slip. Tyrese McMillan is hard to bring down, and he will finally go down at his own 40-yard line. Impressive return there by McMillan, and decent field position for the Lumberjacks.
Absolutely. You could tell McMillan's been wanting to get his hands on the football in these punt returns all night. West Rusk is doing a great job of keeping the football away from him. This time, a low line drive, and it hangs up there for a while. It's a really pretty deep punt, and McMillan able to field it on the run, take it around the right side or the far side, and break a couple tackles. Sets up Diboll very nicely here as we are getting ready to wind down this first half, 1st and 10, 40-yard line. Chance right here, Alec, to once again drive. Let's drive down. Let's put some points on the board, and let's turn this momentum in our favor.
Couldn't have said it better myself. With 4:34 remaining in the second quarter of action, here comes the Lumberjack offense on 1st and 10 from their own 40-yard line. As DeCarlos Sanchez takes the snap, he's going to hand it off to Xander Arambula, who is going to spin off of a few tacklers for West Rusk. K. Jordan losing his helmet on the play as Xander is brought down for a gain of 3 on the play. 2nd down and 7 coming up for the Jacks.
Well, here we go again. 1st down, 3-yard gain. Diboll moving the football here on 1st down. Uh, this is they just have to be more consistent right here. You get that 1st down, let's go ahead and let's buckle down. Let's get 3 or 4 more on 2nd down, then we'll have something going. We can't have a negative play here and put us in a position where it's 3rd and long.
What the Jacks can do here, 2nd and 7. It's a tight formation. It's a high snap. Sanchez is going to have taken himself. Would have been brought down in the backfield, but he's going to pick up a really good gain, just about a yard shy of the 1st down marker. It'll be 3rd and 1 for the Jacks from their own 49-yard line after the run by Sanchez.
Nice little play right there. West Rusk, man, just whenever we're trying to pull linemen, they are coming downhill, getting in that backfield quick. And Sanchez did a great job right there, just pulling away from a tackler and getting upfield and brings up a 3rd down and short. And this is a situation where Diboll needs to convert. We need to get another 1st down. We need to take more time off the clock and drive on and go score.
3rd and 1 for the Lumberjacks with 3:07 to go in the second quarter. Sanchez is going to take it himself, trying to make a cut outside and then bring it back inside. And he's going to be met up immediately by a swarm of white jerseys. As Sanchez will be a yard shy of the 1st down. It's going to bring up 4th down and 1.
No gain right there. Try to quarterback power to the left and just too much penetration. Sanchez tries to go upfield with it, which is one thing that I do like that he does, man. When he's got that ball in his hands, he does not go backwards. He doesn't spend a lot of time running sideways. If he sees he's in trouble, he puts his head down and tries to go north and south. But West Rush, just too much penetration right there, stops him for no gain.
So see what the Jacks can do here. 4th and 1 with 2:23 remaining in the second quarter. Looks like Sanchez trying to get the West Rusk defense to jump offside. He's going to audible the snap count. Looks like Morrison's going to take his final timeout here with 2:11 remaining in the second quarter.
Yeah, smart play right there by Morrison. West Rusk had about 9 guys in the box, but I'll tell you what, Alec, they had Jackson Taylor standing over there, and every time that they got ready to snap the football, that corner just started backing off, bailing, 11, 12 yards. If I'm Morrison, I'm telling Sanchez right now, we're lining up there. We're going to line up to go for it, and you see that corner bailing, you snap that ball, and you stand up and throw it. right to Jackson Taylor, because he's 12 yards off of you. All you have to do is catch it and fall forward. That's a first down, So, and I'm sure that's kind of what they're talking about, what they're looking at. I'm sure those offensive coaches notice the same thing, and they're going to put something together here that works. But it's a good job by smart move by Morrison and the offensive staff to line up and see what kind of defense West Rusk was going to try and give them here on this fourth down.
Yeah, absolutely. Just play it smart. You don't want to take any chances just yet. It's still a 4th-and-1 situation, but we'll see what the Jacks can draw up here with 2:11 left to go. And there'll also be time for another timeout, as again the UIL implemented a 2-minute timeout for the first and second halves. So we'll see what the Jacks can do here, as they're going to bring out the punt unit for this one.
I believe that was a Diboll's last time out there too. So West Rusk should have a couple in their back pocket plus the 2-minute warning if we punt back here.
All right, so it's Eli Terrell from his own 38-yard line to punt it away, as the return man for West Rusk's come back and field it up. And he calls for a fair catch late at the 18-yard line. So that's where the Raiders will set up 1st and 10 with 2:06 left here in the second quarter.
Not a bad job by Terrell there getting that punt off. Had pressure right in his face there, free rusher from West Rusk right up the middle, but Terrell was able to get that punt off all the way to the 18-yard line. And unfortunate end to the last drive there for the Lumberjacks, but it's a game of field position right now, 8-0 here late in the first half. So smart move by Morrison to go ahead and punt it and put his defense back out there on the field, who has played so well so far tonight.
So on 1st and 10 for the Raiders from their own 18-yard line, they're probably going to get one more play off before the 2-minute timeout, as the Raiders will put a man in motion. It's going to be a direct handoff to McCandless, who lowers the shoulder, and he's going to be bottled up immediately by a swarm of Lumberjacks right at the 20-yard line. And that's going to take us down to the 2-minute timeout with 1:57 left on the clock.
Yeah, there's no doubt you can see that Morrison and his defensive staff have coached up Terrell and Arambula over the week. That's that same play. They pull those two linemen, power play to the right side there, and you want to see linebackers coming downhill and meeting those linemen in the hole, and that's exactly what Arambula's doing. Comes down and just submarines that big left guard that was pulling around to the right side and immediately closes the hole, fills that hole up with bodies, and just nowhere for the running back to go. Diboll holds them to a short 1.5 yard gain on first down. And that's what it's going to take, Alec, the rest of the night. This is going to have to be just a very physical defense to put a stop to this West Rusk offense. And both teams seem content to try to run the football and run as much clock out through the course of this game as possible.
As one of my old assistant coaches used to say, Coach Scott Taylor, he used to call games like these a fight in the phone booth, and that's exactly what we're seeing unfold here this evening as both teams head back out onto the field. Raiders offensively, 2nd down and 8. Just going to put a receiver in motion. Dotson dropping back to pass. He's looking deep for Gunnar Harp, and it's right through his hands. If he would have caught that, that would have been 6. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 8 for the Raiders.
Yeah, nice little move right there by Harp. Ran that post route and was able to shake loose and get some separation across the middle of the field there against Aaron Robbins, but ball was just slightly overthrown. He could barely get maybe a fingertip on the ball. So 3rd down and 8, Diboll with a chance to get a stop here.
So 3rd and 8 for the Raiders. It's a tight formation, and it's going to be a handoff to Williams. Williams making a cut, and he breaks a tackle, and he'll be brought down from behind. No, he won't. He's going to spin off of would-be tacklers. He's going to spin off 3 more, and he'll be finally brought down inside Diboll territory at the 21-yard line. It'll bring up 1st and 10 Raiders after the big run by Williams, and Aiden Chavis coming in, making the stop.
Yeah, that's your first defensive breakdown of the night. Handoff up the middle, and he probably broke 8 tackles on that run, and just big gain and puts West Rusk on the doorstep.
1st and 10 for the Raiders, just a yard shy of the red zone on the 21-yard line of Diboll. Dotson in the shotgun, 2 receivers to his left. Another handoff directly to Williams, but he'll be bottled up by Joseph Parrish and Jamarcus Nieves coming in to mop him up. It's going to bring up 2nd down and about 10 for the Raiders with the minute 21 ticking. The Raiders have one more timeout to use.
Much better job there. Defensive line closes down, slams down, and shuts the door. Diboll's got their back against the wall here. Need to hold these guys out of this end zone.
Dotson dropping back to pass. He's going to connect with his intended target. That is Jalen Gardner, who's going to be brought down at about the 10-yard line. Excuse me, that's the 8-yard line. So the Raiders moving quickly here with a minute 03 left on the clock. It's first and goal Raiders. It's going to be another handoff to Williams. He tried to bounce it outside. Instead, he's going to be met up inside by guess who? Jamarcus Nieves.
They're going to call a quick timeout here, try to save some clock, try to put it in the end zone. You could tell that their running backs and their offensive line were sucking wind pretty hard right there. Going back to the play before, little quick slant route. Quarterback does a nice job throwing it low. Receiver goes down to get it for the first down. Then come back, try to run the ball to the left side. And Diboll's defensive line just continuing to anything that goes to the outside. They're just all over it. In the backfield, a lot of penetration. And when they're getting to these running backs early, Alec, they're getting them on the ground. It's a very big change from what we saw last week. So hopefully they can kind of bow their neck here and force a field goal attempt. And you never know what'll happen in that situation. We could get out of this with no points.
The Jackson Raiders coming back out onto the field. It's second and goal for the Raiders from their own, from the Diboll 13-yard line. As the Raiders just used their final timeout. Dotson with the man in motion. He's dropping back to pass. He finds Gunnar Harp in the end zone. Touchdown Raiders.
Yeah, I slipped him right up the seam again. Little play action pass brought the slot receiver across the jet motion, gave him a play action fake, and then threw the ball right up the seam. With Diboll only had the two deep safeties, and he got right inside of the safety and scored a touchdown there. So they're lining up in the swinging gate now. Looks like they're going to go ahead and kick an extra point here.
So they'll go ahead and close the gate as the kicker for the Raiders. It's on to get the extra point try, and the kick is up, and it is good. So with 49 seconds remaining in the second quarter of action, the Raiders extend their lead by a score of 15-0.
Well, it's an unfortunate way to end the half for West Rusk with the one big play there. Diboll just couldn't get the running back on the ground, and that's unfortunate for a defense that's played very well the majority of this first half to give up that big play right before halftime on a third down. So that's unfortunate, but nobody's hurt. The game is 15-0. Your offense has struggled a little bit, but we're right here at halftime. We need to get in there and make some adjustments and come back out. West Rusk gets the ball after half, so this is going to be a very important. This is going to be a very important time in the game. You just gave up a touchdown before halftime. You go in at halftime, they come back out, you kick the ball off. You can't give up another touchdown, right? So they do have a little bit of time to work with here, but big thing is nobody needs to be hanging their head because this football team has played very well over the course of this first half.
So here comes the kickoff unit for the Raiders, as well as the kick return unit for the Jacks. Back deep for the Lumberjacks, Tyrese McMillan on the far side. On the near side is Ty Jones as they're planted near their own 15-yard line, as it'll be Luis Abelardo to kick it off for the Raiders. Again, 49 seconds remaining here in the second quarter. West Rusk with the 15-0 lead over Diboll. And Joseph Parrish is going to field it at his own 40-yard line, and that's where the Jacks will set up as 1 second ticked off the clock, 48 seconds left. Raiders with a 15-0 lead.
Yeah, it's a little squib kick, almost like a surprise onside type kick right there. A little squib kick bounced high up in the air, went about 15 yards, and Parrish does a good job catching that ball in the air and getting down and not wasting any time. So, that helps Diboll. 60 yards away, you got DeCarlos Sanchez back there at quarterback. He's shown the ability to throw the ball a long way. If you can get somebody loose or run it up the seam, you might have a chance.
The Lumberjacks coming out 1st and 10. Sanchez is going to hand the ball off to A.J. Emmons. We're going to be stopped in the backfield at about the 35-yard line. So a loss of 5 on the play. 2nd down and 15 for the Jacks. We'll see if they can get at least 2 more plays off before the end of this first half.
Yeah, looking at your play clock and your game clock, they're almost identical. So we'll see if Morrison decides to try to run a play here or if he just wants to kneel it out. But down to about 15 seconds to go in this first half, and Jacks are coming out to line up on the football.
So one more play here before the end of the first half. Sanchez is in the shotgun. He's going to drop back to pass. He's looking deep for Aaron Robbins, and he is going to. It was in and out of his hands, as it looks like Robbins had taken a few steps with it, and then it just bounces right out of the breadbasket. Pass will come up incomplete, and there's no time remaining here in the first half of action, as your halftime score is the West Rusk Raiders ahead of the Diboll Lumberjacks by a score of 15-0. We'll be right back. You're listening to Diboll Lumberjack Football on YouTube and Facebook through C4 Media.
Welcome to the Coaches Show presented by Terrell Insurance. I'm your host, Jared Christmas, and we're here today with Coach Blake Morrison. Coach, how are you today?
Doing good.
So, Coach, last week we had a 47-12 loss against Madisonville. What are some of the takeaways that you had with the team, and what do you see moving forward?
It was like I told the group yesterday. I said, as far as effort, the kids played hard. They tried. They were not sitting there backing down. They were giving effort. Um, you know, but for the most part, some of their efforts, a lot of it's coachable. It's coachable. We can take outflanked, and that's just being a rookie. We were a couple of times, not many, but a couple of times, our offensive lineman, went the wrong direction. You even saw that with Madisonville. They went the wrong direction twice, with their group. But you're gonna have that early. But as far as getting there, and doing what we're supposed to be doing, they were somewhat going the right direction, but they were not taking the correct path, or they weren't staying engaged. They were. As far as the whole game is concerned, the kids that played got out there and gave great effort. We just got to fix the techniques and then get a little bit better of understanding, how come we got to keep our feet wide, because we're getting, shucked off the D linemen are just throwing us off because we're too narrow, we're too high. That's things that are coachable. But uh, coming off the ball, doing those things, I thought we were, for the most part, I'd say as far as just kids flying around trying and working hard, I'd say we're about 90% good. We still got our 10% we got to work on, but then technique wise, I thought we were about somewhere in the 30s. So we got a whole lot of work to do to get better. But like yesterday at practice, they were responding. They understood. Saturday film, a bunch of them saw what they did wrong and what needs to be corrected.
So, one of the things that you just mentioned was technique. Throughout this week and in the coming weeks leading up to district, how do you approach the technique in getting this young group to understand exactly where they need to be and technique wise where they need to be?
It's called reps. You got to do it. You got to do it 100 times, and you got to do it right. And so once they get it, okay, they got it. All right, good. Move. No, 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 no. You got to continue to do it until they. It's just a habit. It's just nature. It's just, second nature to them. They just, here they go. Um, that's got to be the point. And yes, we have certain people wearing multiple hats. So that is okay. They got to play this position. You go, okay, most important to second to third. So we could play a game and they're in the third position more than what we thought they was going to be according to the formations and what they're going to give us. So we just hope that we coached it up that week and they understand. And you got to coach on the run too a little bit on Fridays. I mean, I think Friday night was more me just talking about experience with the kids. Kids coming off, and I said, "Hey, when that took place, what happened?" Well, I went here. Well, where are you supposed to go? I was supposed to do this. That's right. Okay, where were your eyes? Where your eyes are, that's where all that kind of stuff. It was more on my end of it was more coaching the kids and giving them, okay, you remember that? That can't ever happen again. That experience where they understand that kind of stuff. And so it was I mean, it was a teachable game, the whole game. I mean, defensively, we were pretty simple. Wanted to be sure we learned how to, we could line up. We knew what to attack, where to go. And, for the most part, I think we were close. Tackling was poor. I mean, it was poor. Um, and the only way you get better on tackling is to practice it, but then you got to beat up on each other. So, it's a hard thing to work on as the year progresses. Because you don't want to do something and bang up your own teammate because we're trying to get better. It's dang if you do, dang if you don't type thing. So it's a hard thing to work on. So our tackling is that that was something. Our um, and then throwing game turnovers. That was I mean we just we threw it to people. Friday night like. I said to myself, I said, "My gosh, are we colorblind?" But anyway, it was an experience.
So Friday night we saw both Sonny and Riley
Hmm.
in the quarterback position. Moving forward, is that going to be a game plan that you utilize both of them, or are you going to hopefully pick one and run with them?
Yeah. You know, we are going through some things at the quarterback position because what people don't understand is the quarterback position is, people look at it, okay, and hand it off, throw the ball, say hut, that kind of stuff. What goes into being a quarterback is, okay, recognizing the coverage. Okay, we're throwing the football. This is my first. This is number one option. This is option one. It's there. Let's go. It's not there. We got to go option two. A lot of times that should take place before the ball snapped, because now I got to go three. Um, so seeing all that, understanding that according to what coverage they're in, then at the same time we run the football. Everything's a read. We had I think two times he did it right, and then one time he missed it, and the next time he tried it and got stuffed. So Um, you know, our quarterback position is uh, that kid's got to be dedicated and work hard. It's not at practice. Got to work hard on film. Got to sit there and study film. Got to sit there with coach and just it's a different type position, and we are definitely looking at some things back there at the quarterback spot. Probably going to see something a little different this week than than a lot of people know. So it just depends on how practice goes. Of who we're going to maybe give the call to.
So, Coach, despite the loss last week, what were some of the bright spots that you saw during the game from our players?
Um, I would say our effort. I would say almost the team condition. Some of us some people got to prep. You got to prep. Um, so we got to do a better job at prepping, and we got to, and also kids and coaches. The communication part of that is huge. And we just got to be sure that everybody's communicating on what to do, how to do it, and the kids also, communicating back with us. But I thought for the most part that was good. I liked how that we had some of our younger guys do some things that were good, and then we did some things that were real bad. But I mean, they're out there. I mean, they were trying, um, and they were very receptive to learning. It wasn't like, it wasn't no the body language. We had a couple body language situations, but for the most part, it wasn't none of that. It was, um, coming to the sidelines. Hey, look, this is what happened. Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. Everything was positive. There was, it wasn't any negative. It was, other than bad plays. But for the most part, I mean, we got great kids, and they're going to try, and we got to find their skill set and hone it in. And so, um, wasn't pleased with certain things, but little small details we can build on.
So, Coach, moving on to this week's matchup against West Rusk, they have 19 returning starters. And how are you prepping the team this week to rebound against a physical West Rusk attack?
Yeah, where you're out of the frying pan into the fire type thing, or whatever it's called. But yeah, this is good, real good football team. Lost to Newton in the playoffs last year, gave them a pretty good run. Um, they handled us. They handled us pretty decent last year. We shot ourselves in the foot a couple times too, but um, they're a good football team. Okay, quarterback's a good football player. Running back's a good. They got some great skilled kids, and they're big up front. Good offensive line, big offensive line, defensive line. They've had a couple real good move-ins that helped them out. Um, so there you are, a quality quality football team. So for us to move to the next step is just get better. And right now it's like I told them, and it's hard. It's really hard to sit there and our kids know the kind of schedule that we put together, and and a lot of people you know you know don't like competition. I just think competition is something that just makes you better. Um, you sit there and say, we were, um, 9-1, go to the playoffs, and you lose in the first round because you ain't played nobody. Um, I think playing people and rising to a level that you don't know you can, and the team, I think that's something pretty neat. Um, you know, I, you look at it, and it's kind of like what Vanderbilt did to Alabama a couple years ago. They rise up and they got better, and here and they beat the number one team in the state. I mean, in the country. So I mean, our kids, it's not like we can't handle it, um, but it's a hard thing to teach them that look, every day you got to grow, you got to get better, you got to figure out, um, what is it going to take to be successful, and it's just not getting up, coming to school, and going to practice and practice for a couple hours, going home and forgetting everything. It takes a dedication, and it takes something. With a group of kids, and you could tell a group, hey, y'all gonna be a great group. You can be. It depends on how the kids, what kind of dedication they put into it, and along with the staff.
So, Coach, what are some of the things that we can expect to see out of this West Rusk Raiders offense and defense in this week's matchup?
They're very similar to what they're good. They're very similar to what we are. They are a 20 personnel. Okay, one back, three receivers, H back. Sometimes they go four wide. last year they came in with some too tight stuff and really just pounded us because we were undersized on the D line. And so that aspect of it, they're gonna find what they feel like they can do to be successful. I mean, they're gonna run the power, they're gonna run the inside zone, they're gonna run ISO. They're going to run a little stretch, and the quarterback's got a couple big, tall receivers he likes to throw to, and then they got their little gimmicks here and there if they can, slide somebody, uh, flow and send somebody backside, what we call a little outlaw. They do that type stuff. So, they're very, very well coached on the offensive side. Defensive side, they're going to mix it up. There'll be an odd man front. There'll be an even man front. I think their D line's pretty good. They got some kids, like I said, I think 3 of them are seniors, and so they're all returning. They got one young one on there. Linebacker wise, they lost one. They got but the one that came back's a pretty good football player. I think he's a real good football player. And then on the back end, they got everybody backs up one high safety. And I think that's the kid's brother that played last year. So I mean, so he's sitting there watching his big brother play, and now he's taking over. You know what I'm saying? And they all wear the same numbers, so it looks like it's the same number 2 out there, but that's a different kid. But he's a cookie cutter of what it was last year. So they, they get after it, and I mean they just played Malakoff, and they opened the game up with an opening kickoff return, and got the juices flowing a little bit. And before they knew it, they got another turnover and ended up scoring early. And then Malakoff then settled in, and I think they scored 33 straight points on them. So but they just faced a quality opponent, and I thought they played pretty decent. They had some center quarterback exchange problems, and then had some drop passes. I thought Malakoff's secondary did a good job against them. So. And plus their D front for Malakoff's huge, and kind of matched their size with their, was able to match sizes. We're coming in this thing probably outweighed by 50 pounds across the front per man. So we're going to have to do some things. We're going to have to move around. We can't sit there and just get in a boxing match. That's what I told the kids the other day. They're boxing, we're going to the boxing ring, but we've got to be an MMA fighter. Okay. We got to kick them in the shin and
use your physicality.
Get them on the floor. We got to be quickness,
Yep.
and we got to say, here I am, and go the other direction type
Yep.
stuff. And then once you get blocked, you gotta be big. You can't just get blown off like that. Did you watch that Oklahoma and
Oh, yeah.
Texas? Good stars, that was beautiful. If you're
Ohio State and
if
Texas.
you're a Ohio State fan,
Yeah.
if you're a Texas fan, that was pitiful. But we can't get blown off the ball. I mean, last week we had some guys that will get double teamed and trying to fight a double team, and the next thing you know, they're 10, 15, 20 yards down the field. Well, that's not how we teach it. So I mean, they got to understand their process. They got to understand double team. Okay, we can't split it. We're down. We're down, and we're grabbing anything we can to pull them down with us. I mean, when I say anything, you grab anything, and that kind of stuff. And just understand, I did that. I took 2 down. Somebody's free, and hopefully we do that quickly. At the line of scrimmage, not in the backer's face or anybody else for good stars. But we got we've got to play our game because they bring a physical football game, and it's going to be a real good challenge for us.
And last week, Coach, we saw the 3-man front on the defense. Can we expect to see you add a couple extra players down there on the line, or are you going to stick with the 3-4 defense?
Well, the thing is, we got to dance with what brung us, and if you right now early, I mean, our offensive linemen, like I said last year, I think Brody was the only guy I've had that's been both sides. We don't have my O line is my O line, and so what we got left is what we got left. So we're trying to, um, if you try to add some people, so is that person that we add just to put a 4-man, to put an even man front in, is he going to be better than the guy we take out? So, what's, the skill sets, what he can do. We kind of look at it. So, I mean, we're going to probably stay with that with our 3-4, but what we'll have to do is, because of the offensive formations that they run, the personnel, the groupings that they run, we're going to have to be on our toes, on certain formations that we might have to send in different grouping personnel. But for the most part, we got to start we got to start shooting some bullets, and we're going to see if we can understand the game. We're putting it in. Yesterday was base and just learning how to play and learn how to do certain things, and today we're going to put in some. We're going to put in some couple different fronts, looks, some coverages and some assignments, and so it's you got to know the rules. So if for example, if I'm an outside backer, so to speak, I got number two. Let's call it off. And if I don't have no number two, fire. Okay, that's easy. So fire, go. Here we go. We take off. But where? Where do we go, and why do we go there that way?
Just understanding.
That's it. I mean, you can, they can quote the rules. You can get somebody that's a lawyer that can quote the rules, but do you want them to be, fighting for you whenever it's time? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, so they got to learn all that. We got 3 days to put that in, and kind of understand it with our offense, putting in some new stuff, and we're trying to put them under pressure in practice, because pressure in practice, it makes the games easier. So that's kind of our approach we're taking this week.
So, lastly, Coach, what do we need to do this week in order to secure a win against the West Rusk Raiders?
It's a tough one right there. Well, first off, turnovers. I mean, what do we have? 6?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, I had to take my shoes off to count that high.
And we went down 27-0, but we were mounting a comeback. But it seemed to me like some of those turnovers is what kind of held us back from continuing to advance and mount that comeback.
Yeah, I mean, we get the ball right off the bat. We drive down to the 5-yard line, throw a pick, and they threw a flag. I don't know what they threw a flag on. That was a pick. Okay, and it all equaled out in the wash because we threw a pick on the next one.
Yes.
Okay, which was, I mean, he was wide open in the back corner. And we moved down, and that should have been a score. And then, I think I don't know if they scored the next series. No, we held them to punt right there, and then we throw the pick. And yes, it's 27-0. We end up making it 27-12. And I'm sitting there going, as bad as we're playing, I mean, I'm talking, it's bad. I feel like what Bill Belichick said last night. He goes, right now we're going to be a good team, but we're not right now. And they proved it last night, didn't they? Good Lord. But I'm sitting there going, as bad as we played, at halftime it should have been 27-20. Because we were down to go. It's a first and goal at the 5. And I'm thinking, okay, we're getting the ball coming out. We just drive down and score and just let the kids, especially the young ones, because the young ones don't understand. They don't understand. They're just, I mean, they were running around with their hair on fire, just just excited to be out there on a Friday night. I mean, it got there. It got to that point, but then, what we got to do to get better is we got to understand. We just don't catch the ball and we throw it because that's what we throw to at practice, or that's my buddy or whatever it may be. It's here we go. I mean, the coverage dictates it. So there it is. I know exactly what I got. Because a lot of stuff that we do is not just, hey, run a route. I mean, each thing is designed per coverage.
Yes, sir.
So, if it's cover 3, if it's cover 2, if it's man, whatever it may be, whatever principle they're trying to run, our principles counteract that. And we just got to be sure we know what we're doing under pressure, and there's times where, it's like I said, we'd sprinted out once and we threw it, right to his belly. And I asked him. I said, "Look, what's the deal?" He said, "Well, people are in my face." I said, "I understand that, but how many times we told you on a sprint out and we work on it that if a guy's high in the face, we sit it up in that, and you sit in that hole. Quarterbacks have to find windows to throw. Not everybody can be 6'6", 6'7" back there. And so you got to find that window. There it is to make a good throw. And if it's not there, just because we caught a pass doesn't mean you can't run. And so those little things like that. I mean, yesterday we ran a play with one of our quarterbacks, and there was nobody. I mean, we sealed the edge. Great job on the sprint out. Guy had us covered pretty good. It had to be a good throw. He threw it, and it was a little too far outside because the guy was blanketed on us, and he came over there, and the first thing he said was, "Should have ran the ball." I said, "Exactly." I said, kids, well, right now their vision is so tunneled, and when you don't have that experience in the game, and you ain't been there, and even if with experience that first game, when you play teams like Madisonville who can fly,
Speed of the game.
who makes the game faster than what it sometimes is, they get tunnel vision instead of have big vision. And I tell them all the time. I said, well, it's kind of like driving a car. You just don't focus on the car in front of you. You have big vision of everything else in front of that one. You see this one, that one's there, but you got to look ahead. You got to have big vision of everything that you do, and those you know your surroundings. So that comes with experience. That comes with and a little gamesmanship. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I told the team the other day, we can coach you up to a certain point, and then we can coach you after that. But there's a window that is all about athletic ability, and then what you do with it. Then we can now once we start coaching you again, well, we can add some sauce to it. You know what I'm saying? So it's so what I'm looking for is ball security, because we had some fumbles um, that weren't even called. Okay, one was on a kickoff return. We fumbled that ball.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and they came out with it.
Couple on the sideline that
Popped out because we're not covering the points. Little things like that, stuff that's being coached, and it's just when the kids get in that moment, they forget all about it. They forget everything where it's got to become natural.
fundamentals.
Yes. And so that's just, so when you're coaching those things and trying to catch up with everybody else with, maybe those guys are, like you said, you got 19 returners. So the gap that we got to close this week is pretty big. And, we're ready for the challenge and ready to accept it and get after it and go play hard and then see what happens. I mean, we get 48 minutes to get better. So we got 48 minutes to get better this week, and then we got several more before it really starts counting.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming in today for the Coaches Show presented by Terrell Insurance, and we just want to wish you and the Lumberjacks good luck this week against West Rusk.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's go.